Hey
Yeah.
Danielle, it's so great to connect with you.
It's nice to see you again.
It's so good to see you. I had such a great time reading your book, and I took my time reading it because I feel like it's one of those books that you kind of get into. And I
Yeah.
wanted to start off by asking you what motivated you to write it.
Mm. Well, the book is so, like with every lesson, with every aha, there's a story with it. And I think the most important story is, I was noticing my own self-help fatigue, and I was seeing it in all my girlfriends. Like, we're all going to the same workshops. We were all, writing yoga class in our day planners and smiley faces when we did it and scratching it out when we did. It was, we're all sort of on that path of we want to be better and more conscious and more awake. And we understand that there's some discipline and some devotion involved in that. But you can't have your spiritual aspirations become this other thing on your to-do list. So our personal development was adding to some busyness. Not some busyness, a lot of busyness. And I just thought, I'm done with it. And I know that a lot of women are feeling the same way. I mean, they're at some point in that path of want to grow, starting to feel like an assignment, want to break free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved reading, I think it's one of the first few pages in your book where you say, all our woo woo is getting in the way of our poo. And I read that and I thought, that's epic because I sort of hear you on that doing
Mhm.
all the right thing and landing up feeling really tired. So maybe you can expand on that for me.
Well, it's that sometimes the personal development and the self growth and the spirituality, it actually becomes a mask to dealing with the things that we have labeled as negative, but the things that are really human and very real and need to be dealt with and aren't, the negative things, the so-called negative things, the pain, the anger, the hostility, the rage, the weight, the whatever it is, isn't any less spiritual than the positivity and the optimism and the forgiveness. And, because there's so much emphasis in the self-help space put on positivity, um, we cover up. We use the woo to cover up the poo, and we need to deal with that stuff and be whole and be real. And that's where the medicine is, and that's where the power is. It's not just about harmony and being whole and being powerful and being your own, the agent of yourself. Um, can create a lot of disharmony. It
Yeah.
actually can create a lot of imbalance in your life. You won't necessarily be getting along with everybody. You're going to make some tough choices. And that doesn't look very spiritual from the outside. But on the inside, it's exactly what you need to do for your own evolution. Yeah.
And I found it incredibly powerful when I read your story about you going through your divorce
Mm-hmm.
and how part of that was reframing forgiveness for yourself and what that meant for you. And I think that speaks to the disconnect that you're also talking about. And I highlighted it here because it is something that I wanted to talk to you about, how self-respect can create conflict. And I really wanted to speak to you about that. What do you think, for anyone who's sort of struggling with conflict, what do you think the most helpful thing is?
Well, you have to start by just getting real and really, really growing up around this whole subject of boundaries and conflict and disharmony.
Yeah.
If you are yourself, if you're fully expressed, if you stand for your values, if you want, if you have standards about love and communication. And if you have ideals at all, you are going to piss some other people off. You are going to have to reorganize some relationships and some friends. You're going to have boundaries. And that's just part of being conscious and part of being spiritually mature. And, you know, you've really got to root into caring for yourself, being your own friend, being your greatest cheerleader, really believing in yourself so that when you get pushback, and you will, you can keep choosing you. And it doesn't mean that there's any hostility.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all about, you know, if you're not into what I'm doing, you know,
exactly.
it's just,
Out of here.
it's no one needs to be flipped off. It's, this is what works for me. This is how I stay sane. This is how I stay healthy. I hope you understand. If you don't, great. And then, you know, there are times someone crosses your boundaries and, you know, you got to tell them to just hit the road. Yeah.
And I loved reading that and hearing you talk about it in terms of this idea of conflict, right? Because it's such an uncomfortable topic in the sense that your self wellness and being and preservation could create conflict. And reading your book, in it there's something about how, you know, if we are inclined towards being full of light and trying to be good and trying to do the best that we can, people can often take advantage of that, and you're almost like sometimes a little bit of a beacon for people who can take advantage. So that I wanted to just kind of talk to you about that and the idea of this toxicity.
Yeah.
That arises for a lot of people that feel that that's the way to go.
Yeah. Well, you know, light attracts dark. That's the way it works. It's all, you know, it's a universal principle. And you know, people who are in the dark, who aren't facing their souls, who aren't in the power of their heart, they're going to want light from any source they can get it from. Or they're going to want to feel powerful by trying to dim other people's light. And that's why narcissistic personalities are often attracted to empathic personalities. And empathic people, usually, typically women, feminine-oriented people, are all, you know, there's a dark attraction to the narcissistic personality because we want to heal people. We want to merge. We want to like be expressing our compassion all the time. And it's a perfect storm. It's a perfect storm. I mean, at the end of the day, it's two wounds being magnetized to each other. So it's not like, you know, empaths are doing anything particularly enlightened. They're actually coming from their place where, you know, they're buying into a lie that they need to save in order to be loved, that they need to earn their keep, that they're not worthy of respect. Yeah.
And I loved the line, open, gentle heart, big fucking fence. And I just wanted to hear your take on that and how that's kind of come up for you in your life and what it means in reality. Like, is it saying no to people? How does it come up for you?
Well, it's a great question about what it means in reality. So that is all about healthy boundaries. And, you know, the trick with boundaries, I mean, so first of all, let's all just agree that you need to have them to be healthy, to be sane, to get things done in your life, okay? But the trick to that is you want to have standards, and you want to have boundaries in place, but you still want to be open and tender and compassionate. You still want to be like the gooey, warm love bug that we, so many of us are, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want anybody disrespecting you and getting in your way and trampling on that open heart. So, I mean, how that looks for me is, I'm much more clear in my communication around some things. I'm really clear about things that I will do and won't do. Like, I'm very clear about where I speak and where I don't speak. It's never about the money. It's never about how much someone is like, come, this would be a great conference. I'm like, that's not the right audience for me. Thank you anyway. It's, I say no thank you to 80% of the things that come my way, so that everything else is a full-on yes. Like, I only do what I really want to do. The things where I'm enthusiastic, like lit up by it. Otherwise, I don't need to give it my time. It's taking away from my creativity. It's taking away from my care that I give my kid. It's taking away from my friendships. No. And in all of that, there's always some tough calls to make. It's like, you might have to say to your family, I'm not coming home for Christmas this year, because you want to stay warm and sane and save some money and spend it with your honey,
Yeah.
and there's going to be feelings hurt. But that's what's best for you. You're going to deal with the hurt feelings, and the consequences of that. Or it's saying, I don't work on weekends. Or it's just setting up quiet boundaries that you don't have to announce to the world. It's like, I get to bed at a certain time. I don't check my email past 8:30 at night. I never take red-eye flights anymore. And then and then there's in the moment boundaries. I think we've all been in situations like customer service situations or situations of authority where someone really, they talk to you in a way that is unacceptable. It's not on.
Yeah.
And when you have those healthy life boundaries in place, those everyday boundaries, you have the strength to meet those moments and just say, don't talk to me like that. And those are fun. Right? I've had a few of those customer service moments. It's like, hey, even though I may be in the wrong, but
Still,
that's not cool. Yeah.
And I think you know it when you know it, because you can just feel it. And I think what I loved about reading your book and hearing you talk about this is this like implicit message that it's okay to put up a boundary, and it's okay to sometimes walk into something that may seem like conflict, not like malicious conflict, but there is conflict, and I think it's okay. And it's an amazing thing, because I think it's not something that's often spoken about if you are well. So it's often spoken about if you're looking at something toxic, or it's a really unhealthy, or you kind of an extreme version of it. But if you're in this realm, it's not that explicit. Like, it's okay to have these boundaries.
The basic thing with boundaries, and especially women, is we have shitty boundaries because we want to be liked.
Yeah.
And for fear of being disliked, for fear of someone saying, she's a diva, or she's to this, or she thinks she's that, or she's not going to get the promotion, or whatever it is, then we just take it. We become overly tolerant. And look, who was it? Maya Angelou? I think it's Maya Angelou. It says, you tell the world how to treat you. And it's an amazing dynamic. Yeah. When you respect yourself, for the most part, you get respect in return.
Amazing, that's right. And I hear you saying a lot of that is having that inner well that you can then lean on. And I read it, and I don't know if it is, so I'm interested to hear, but I read it as a self-love principle. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. I mean, it's really about being your own friend. I mean, it sounds ridiculously simplistic, but that's it. I mean, not all, but many of the core Buddhist teachings and tenets are really just about that quality of friendship. Like, befriending your pain, befriending your cravings, befriending your awesomeness. I'm not sure that the Buddha said that, but yeah. And the hardest time to befriend yourself is when you've screwed up again. Like we can all relate. It's like, I'm in this kind of relationship again. I've done this pattern. I did this again. This is the same damn theme.
Yeah.
And that's when compassion really becomes medicine, where it's like, you can just say to yourself, Danielle, you're a good person. You had the best of intentions. It's amazing that you're noticing this. You're loving. You're gonna keep doing better. Just like, that's where you really heal, and that's where you really become powerful, with that kind of tenderness. It's an amazing thing. That sweetness really, informs your strength.
And it's a gentleness as well. I can even feel it from you when you're talking about it. And another little snippet that I took out of your book, right? There's a time and place for everything. Knowing the right time and the right place is how you become your own healer. And I really love that.
Yeah, and that has to do with sort of the dynamic I see in the self-help community, where so many of us, I'm I'm a perfect example of this, where we so want to do things the holistic way. I could be like coughing up a lung, I'm so sick, and it's just like, I'm just going to meditate and take a few more supplements, and you talk to your girlfriend, and they're like, get to the clinic. And someone at my door, will ignore that. And you need everything. You need goddess meditation, and you need antibiotics. You need all of it. Yeah.
And I love the recognition of that it's okay to go through all of that. And part of what I loved about your book is how you go through it. Like, this is what psychotherapy says, this is what Buddhism says, this is what a mudra, this is what this, and it's just a really nice way of seeing it in a bigger picture way. What are you hoping readers will take from your book? What's your core message?
Oh, listen, it's all about liberation. It's that exhale that I hope people have, just that relief of like, you're good, you got this. And to look at all the crazy, silly, messed up things we've done to like improve on our self-improvement, to keep bettering ourselves, and to have a good laugh at that, to have some compassion with that, and to knock it off, to stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers. And so, it's about the relief that leads to compassion and self-love. And then when you're there, you get closer to that, true esteem. Then, I have motives. Like, I really hope you'll get off your ass and be of service to the world, and really get engaged as a light worker with policy and politics and the environment and conscious parenting, and being an awake partner for your person, and using your voice to really elevate. Yeah.
So the book's being released on May the 16th, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so exciting. And it's available all over, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are you doing any speaking gigs for it?
Yeah, we're going to do New York, I'm going to do LA, I'm going to do San Francisco. I'll be doing a ton of stuff online. Yeah, it's going to be a really sexy, fun launch. I'm really ready for it. Yeah.
It was so wonderful reading your book, and thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me about it.
Anytime, Athena. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. Cool.